there, this is Mrs. Endicott here. I'm going to work through the Chapter 1 review with you and explain things as I go, and hopefully this will help you prepare for your test. You should have already worked out these problems, and then you're kind of using this video as a way to check yourself. And if you get anything wrong, hopefully my explanation will help clarify things for you. So let's dive right in. We're going to start with the first lesson. Your assignment, by the way, was on page 56, numbers 1 through 22 all. Alright, so first lesson, we have a diagram here and it says give another name for plane M. So the M in the corner over here, that's the way that they're naming that plane. So if you're going to name it another way, you need to pick 3 points that are in that plane that are not in the same line. So I could say X, Y, N. So you could do plane X, Y, N. And you don't need any separation between the letters because you're naming a plane altogether. Or you could say like Z, Y, N. That would work too. But do not use X, Y, Z because they're in a line and it doesn't show you that you're in a plane that has depth. Okay, number 2. Name a line in the plane. So the only line that's in the plane would be this line right here. You could call it line G, with little G next to it. So I could write line G like that. Or anytime you name a line, you can use 2 letters. So maybe I wanted to say X and Y. Those are 2 points on the line. But when you do the 2 letters, you need to have the line symbol above. So that is the 2-sided arrow like that. Number 3, name a line that is intersecting the plane. So that would be referring to the line crossing through, which would be line H. So you could write line H, or you could pick 2 letters on that line, 2 points, so that could be PY. And again, you want to put your line symbol above it. That's the arrow on both sides. Okay, name 2 rays. When you're naming a ray has one end point and extends forever in another direction. So let's say I wanted to focus on a ray that started on Y. So I could say ray YZ. So it starts at Y and goes towards Z. And that has a ray symbol, which is a 1-sided arrow like that. Or another option could be maybe the ray that's going up out of the plane. So that would be starting at Y and going towards P. So you'd have YP with the ray symbol above it. Now, number 5, name a pair of opposite rays. When you name opposite rays, you have to be careful. Together, opposite rays should form a straight line. So opposite rays share an endpoint, but go in opposite directions. So, for example, I could name the ray that starts at Y and goes towards X. So I would say Y, X, with the ray symbol. And the ray that would be going in the opposite direction to that would be starting at Y and going towards Z. So starts at Y, go towards Z with your ray symbol. Excuse that bell. And together you'll see they form a straight line. Number 6, name a point not in the plane. The only point that's not in this plane would be up here at point P. So that's a review of the first lesson. Okay, now let's move on to the second lesson. Alright, anytime you see the 2 letters together like that without a symbol above it, that just means find the length of XY. So just by looking at these 2, I would just go ahead and add up these 2 together. So 17 plus 24 gives you your answer of 41. So XZ equals 41. Now on number 8, this one's different because the 38 is the whole length. And then I have 27 is from A to X, and this is the one I want to find. So I have 38 is the whole thing minus the 27, which is the part you know, that will leave you with your answer. So 38 minus 27 gives me 11. So xz on this one is 11. Number 9, plot these 4 points in a coordinate plane, then determine whether segment AB and segment CD are congruent. So when you plot your points, remember that x comes first, then y, and label as you go. So the point A, I'm going to go over to 8 and down 4. Then for B, I go over 3, down 4. Then for C, you go over 7, up 1. And D would be over 7, down 3. 1, 2, 3. And I want to see if these segments are the same length. So if you connect CD and AB, you want to count the units in between them. So AB would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. CD is 1, 2, 3, 4 units. So are they congruent? No. Congruent means the exact same size, same shape, so they're the same length, and these are not. Next, find the coordinates of the midpoint, then find the distance between points S and T. So we're going to find the midpoint first. When you're doing your midpoint formula, that is the one that looks kind of like you're taking the average. You're going to add your x's together. So it's like x1 plus x2 divided by 2, comma, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. The midpoint is a point, so it's like an x coordinate and a y coordinate. So if you're doing it for number 10, you would have your x's. So maybe you want to call this one x1, y1. Sorry about the bell. Then this is x2, y2. So if you add your x's, you would do negative 2 plus 3 over 2, comma, and do your y's. That would be 4 plus 9. And you definitely want to add before you divide. So negative 2 plus 3 would be 1. So you have 1 divided by 2. Over here you have 4 plus 9. That's 13 divided by 2. So you could leave this as a fraction, but see if they simplify. 1/2 doesn't simplify, but as a decimal you could put 0.5. 13 over 2 doesn't simplify, but you could put it as a decimal, which would be 6.5. So there's your answer. That would be the midpoint, which means the middle of the segment. So now if I was going to find the distance for those 2 points on number 10, your distance formula is the one that has the big square root in it. Now I will give you these formulas for the test, so you don't need to memorize them. But you definitely need to know how to use them. So subtract the x's, square it. Subtract the y's and square it. And then you add them together, and then you square root last. So if I'm going to use the points S and T, in my first set of parentheses, I would take x2 minus x1, so that's 3 minus negative 2, which is actually a plus sign. When you have a minus and negative, that turns into a plus. Then for your y's, 9 minus 4. And that's still all under one big square root. Now I suggest you work this out in pieces rather than relying on your calculator to do the whole thing. So 3 plus 2 is 5. 5 squared is 25. Then over here we have 9 minus 4. Well, that's another 5. 5 squared is another 25. 25 plus 25 is 50. So I have the square root of 50. If you do that in the calculator, the square root of 50 is about equal to 7.07. So there's your distance. Okay? Now, for time purposes, I'm going to skip number 11, but the answer is in the back of your book. I would do the exact same steps that I just did on number 10. So now let's look at number 12. This one's a little trickier. The midpoint of a segment is given, and then one of the end points is given. And it says find the other end point. So it helps me if I draw a picture. Let me clear this real quick. Okay, so for number 12, I've got a segment JK. So maybe this is J, this is K, and M is the middle. So I have the point 6,3 here, and the endpoint J is at 14,9. The question is, what are the coordinates of K? This is what I'm trying to find. So here's how I like to look at this problem. The midpoint means it's in the middle, so the distance between J and M is the same as the distance from K and M. So I'm just going to look at the x's and find out the difference between them, like how much did it change? What is the distance? So if it went from 14 to 6, that's down 8, right? It went minus 8. So my x for K is going to be the same distance from that. So I'm just going to go down 8 more, meaning you need to subtract 6 minus 8. 6 minus 8 gives you negative 2. So the x coordinate of K is negative 2. Now you do the same for the y's. You look at the y values, it went from 9 to 3. Well, going down from 9 to 3, it went down 6 units. 9 minus 6 is 3. So I'm going to go down the same amount to figure out this y. So go down 6 more from the midpoint. So 3 minus 6 gives me negative 3. There's your answer. Negative 2, negative 3 would be the points for K. Alright, number 13. I'm going to clear this again to make some room. On 13, M is the midpoint of AB. So again, if it helps, draw a picture. You have segment AB, and M is the middle. AM is 3x plus 8. MB is 6x minus 4. Find the length of AB. Okay, well, since it tells you that M is the midpoint, that tells me that it's in the middle, so this half and this half are equal. They are equal to each other. So that's exactly what kind of equation you're going to set up. You're going to do 3x plus 8 equals 6x minus 4. And we're going to have to solve for x. I prefer to get my x's together first. So I would subtract 3x from both sides. That cancels, leaves me with 8 equals 3x minus 4. Then you can add 4 to both sides. That cancels. 8 plus 4 is 12, so I have 12 equals 3x. Divide both sides by 3, and I get x equals 4. Now, I'm not done with the problem because I need to go actually find that length. So I'm going to take the 4 and I'm going to plug it back in for x. So to find the distance of AM, I'm going to do 3 times 4 plus 8. That's 12 plus 8, which is 20. Then you need to find the distance of MB, or the other side. That would be taking 6 times 4 minus 4. If you plug it back in, that's 24 minus 4, which is also 20. They should be equal. That's what we knew from the beginning, so my math worked out correctly. So now the final answer, which is how long is AB, the whole thing of AB would be adding these together, 20 plus 20, which is 40. There's your answer. All right, moving on. Perimeter and area. All right, so we're going to have to plot these points, figure out what polygon I'm looking at, and then calculate perimeter and area. So let's plot carefully and label as we go. We have 5, -1, so go over 5 and -1. Call that W. Then you have 5, 6, which is X. And then you have Y is 2, -1. And Z is 2, 6. So I have a rectangle. The sides of the rectangle I can count because all the lines are straight. I can just count the units. So this one is 3 on the top and bottom, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on the sides. So to find the perimeter, you need to add up all of the sides. So that'd be doing 3 plus 3 plus 7 plus 7. That should be 20. For the area, you multiply the sides. So I would do 3 times 7, which is 21. Now I'm going to do the triangle on the other side for number 15. So I plot the points. I have 6, -2, that's E. Then I have 6, 5, that's F. And then I have -1, 5, which is G. And connect and you have your triangle. Now the sides that are straight, I can easily count those units. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In order to find the diagonal one, you need to use Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So I have 7 squared plus 7 squared equals C squared. That's 49 plus 49, which gives me 98. And then you square root. The square root of 98 is 9.9. I'm just going to round. So to get my perimeter, I'm still going to add up all the sides. So 7 plus 7 plus 9.9 gives me 23.9. When you do the area of a triangle, that's 1/2 times base times height. My base and my height of this triangle are 7 and 7. So 1/2 times 7 times 7 gives me 24.5. That's my area. And I'm going to stop there for this video, and the last 2 lessons will be a separate video.